This is Dr. Adam Oxendine, and this is Miles with Deputy Faulk.
Thank you, Dr. Oxendine. I appreciate you joining Miles with Deputy Faulk. I'm excited about this episode, and the viewers are going to find out why, because you have changed the game, brother. You have changed the narrative when it comes to how law enforcement is viewed. So they're going to find out during this 5-mile run, man. All right? So let's go. All right. If I can ask you just a few questions, man, during this run. You know, again, you have changed how law enforcement is viewed, changed the narrative. You have raised the bar, man, and that's commendable. And I just want to ask you, you have a doctorate degree in leadership and organized behavior, correct?
Yeah.
So the question, brother, is, why are you a cop? I mean, like, why are you even a cop?
I just like helping people. You know, I started at 21. The education background really didn't come later in my career when I started to experience some things throughout it. And saw an opportunity to take advantage of it. Saw the pendulum change in law enforcement as we know it, and figured I'd go get something that's going to be beneficial to my career.
Okay. And so if I can expound on that just a little bit more, because usually when people get a degree, their degree is in their respective field, correct?
Right.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong here, your master's degree is in criminal justice, right? And then your doctorate is in something else, right? And so my question is, how do those degrees, right? How does that help, you know, essentially make a person a better officer, or how does it help the community?
Well, you know, when I started my studies in the leadership realm, it was geared a lot towards the social aspect. Social science aspect, if you will. It was a lot of, you know, how you treat people.
How you treat people?
Yeah.
Okay.
How you talk to people. You know, understanding the human mindset, the human thought process, you know, things like that. And then you couple that with the fact that we deal with the community on a daily basis.
Right.
And not just the community at large, but even the law enforcement community, our own brother and sisters in blue, and you know how we, you know, treat them. It does have an impact on how they treat the community. Okay. You know, we provide, if we can give them comfort and try to provide a stress-free environment.
Yes, sir.
Outside of those calls for service.
Yes, sir.
They're going to treat the community better because they're going to be in a happy place. Whereas if they have a lot of built-up frustration, you can see them potentially take that out on the community in a negative way.
That's interesting. Okay, so as I said, man, you've been a cop for about 20 years, correct?
Yep.
And so a young officer like myself, considering everything you have accomplished, what advice could you give a young officer like myself?
I go back to when I first started. And I just treat everybody the way you would want to be treated.
Wow. Humanize it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, when I started in 2004, I had a mentor tell me, you know, that the sheriff would always say, when you're on a call, treat that person as if they're your grandmother, your grandfather, your brother, your sister.
Right.
And, you know, sometimes we forget about that and can get us in trouble, whether it be in the department or community-wide. But, you know, if we can just, you know, take a step back and remember the golden rule, you know, treat others as you'd want to be treated, I think we'll do fine.
Okay. So during your, and I want to go a little bit more deeper into your career in and of itself. Okay. So you wore many hats, right? And correct me if I'm wrong, you were on patrol, right? You did K9 for how many years? About 9 years, right? And then investigations, right? And it's not over yet. So out of all of these accolades that you have, how does each of these, responsibilities, how do they serve in making the community a safer place?
Well, they all each have their roles and responsibilities within the organization. And you kind of look at it as a wheel. So you got the center of the wheel, which would be the community. And then you have different spokes that come off the center to make the wheel move. And each one of those trades is a specific spoke that holds the wheel together.
Yes, sir.
So your road officers, they're the ones that are usually first on scene, and they're the ones that are going to have the greatest impact of how the community views the department in a time of need. Your investigation unit is that follow-up. That, hey, we know this is over, or we know we got to get more out of this. We do care. That's why we're here. Type mentality. And then, being a canine handler, it just goes back to that first responder role of trying to get the bad guy in jail as quick as possible.
Yes, sir. Okay. So, all of it kind of works together. There's an old saying. They say one hand wash the other and both wash the face. Yeah. That kind of concept. Yeah. Okay. So if I can ask you, what is the most important quality that an officer should have?
I mean, there's so many of them. Probably the tip of the spear would be integrity. There's different definitions of integrity, but doing what's right when no one's watching.
Say that again?
Doing what's right when nobody's watching.
Doing what's right
when nobody's watching.
I love it.
So integrity would be the tip of the spear, but they also have to have humility.
Humility? Why is that?
You don't know it all. You're human. You're gonna make mistakes. You have to own up to them.
Okay.
And then probably the third most important would be empathy. Okay. And empathy is really tough in our day and age. Okay. We can expound on that a little bit more later on if you want to, but empathy would probably be the third most important.
Empathy, knowing where the person is coming from, or
trying to put yourself in their position.
Wow. Okay. And
there's a difference between I know how you feel,
right,
and I understand you. And me and my brother, grew up in the same house.
Okay.
For several years.
Okay.
But even then, we still live opposite lives.
Right.
And so for me to go, I know how you feel.
Right.
Is more sympathy than I understand what you're going through. Because do you really understand?
Right.
Have you lived that person's life?
Right.
Do you know what they've experienced in their life? So, there's a difference.
Okay. And out of those three, you said integrity, humility, and empathy. Out of those three, what is the most important?
They're all important, man. I wish I could put one at the top, but you can't.
If I could ask you another question, and this is more, this is more so for me. And, I'm married. I have 4 kids, 3 girls, 1 boy. And a lot of times, as you know, in law enforcement, it's hard to balance married life and just your job. And considering someone who has done it all, been in this game for 20 years, what advice do you give me or other officers out there who's trying to find that balance between married life and law enforcement?
First off, being a girl dad, I commend you on that. I got a daughter too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I understand the frustrations and the challenges there.
Yes, sir.
I understand. See what I did there? Yeah. So, you know, find a healthy coping mechanism. Find a way to relieve that stress. It looks like you got something pretty good going with this.
Okay.
I'd say keep that up.
Okay.
Yeah, find that healthy work-life balance.
Yes, sir.
You know, you get days off for a reason. Take them. You know, don't miss that dance recital. Don't miss that baseball game. There's a nostalgia about being a cop, working 12-hour shifts, working during the holidays. You know, they say you're not really a cop if you don't do that, but, you know, family's more important.
Yes, sir.
Job's gonna be here. You need to make sure your family's there for you when you get home. So, you know, that healthy coping mechanism, that stress relief,
Yes, sir.
turn that radio off on your way home, ride in silence, decompress, think about the day, journal, you know, stuff like that.
Okay, have that. You have to have that release. Yeah. Okay. You know, and I appreciate that because you're right. You know, I've been, since I started running mentally, it has changed my perspective on a lot of different things, which brings me to my next question. You know, in law enforcement, you're a human being. You go through from call to call. Like I said, you on patrol, investigations, K9. I'm sure you've seen a lot. And so, you know, when people go through those hard times, some people may refer to it as dark times, what can you do as an officer to help push you through those times?
You gotta have an outlet. Find you a support system, somebody to talk to. I'm very transparent. You know, I've used EAP before, Employee Assistance Program, for those dark times. You know, you gotta remember, you're not human, or you are human.
Right.
You know, you're not Superman.
Right.
You know, the cape comes off when you go home. You know, going back to what you said earlier, humanizing the badge.
Yes, sir.
I've got a sign above a room in my house that says, "Not all heroes wear capes." And that's just a reminder to me that that cloak, that cape comes off. You know, we're viewed as heroes,
Yes, sir.
but we're not immortal.
Okay. You say we're viewed as heroes, but we're not immortal.
Right.
So if I can ask you another question, and especially in the recent of light events at our department, I recently ran with a K9 officer, a good friend of mine, Zaid Abdullah, right? And I knew Zaid since he was about 17, 18 years old, and he has grown a lot. And it's no secret he recently lost his partner in the line of duty, you know, his K9. And considering you were also in K9, and you understand that bond between an officer and their partner, I don't even want to say dog, and their partner. So I have a few questions. It's a two-part question. And also, recently at our department, we just had another K9 Boomy, that was shot in the line of duty. And so, considering everything, one, do you still have that K9 that you had when you served as a K9 officer? And then also, what advice can you give to your fellow K9 officers who have underwent such a tragic situation?
So, the time that I was on K9, I actually worked two dogs, Iman and Bickle.
Okay.
Both great dogs. One died of cancer. The other, 6 months after he retired, developed a heart condition. So we had to have him put down too. But do I still have them? Yeah. They're sitting in my room. Their ashes are. But yeah, that bond is unbreakable. You know, dogs are a lot like humans. They have their own personalities.
Yes, sir.
And once you bond with them, it's a bond that can't be broken. Pushing through something like that, a lot of guys are ready. Let's work the next dog, because they want to get back out there.
Right.
My advice is just remember what you're doing it for. And don't force the bond between your new dog. It's got to grow organically and naturally.
All right, brother, so if I can ask you one more question, considering all your accolades, you know, what, as you know, there's no secret, there currently exists a disconnect between law enforcement and the community that we serve. What can we do as officers, especially someone who has 20 years in this thing? How do we bridge that gap?
Well, you're doing it right now with this. I harken back to what you said earlier. I hate to bring it up again, but it's a great point. Humanize the badge, but it's a two-way street. What I mean by that is, again, we got to realize we're not heroes. We're human. We're not immortals. We're human.
Yes, sir.
We have emotions that need to be expressed at the right time, in the right way.
Yes, sir.
But the other side of that street is the community's got to realize we're human. We're gonna make mistakes.
Right here.
Okay.
Here we go.
You know,
You're gonna run up this way.
you know, the community has to realize that too. We're human. We make mistakes.
Right.
We've got to own up to it. Yeah. There's a sense of accountability, but even through all that training that we do,
Yes, sir.
we're not perfect. So having that two-way street of understanding humanization is key.
Okay.
And a lot of that comes from just having a conversation with people.
Yes, sir.
Taking an extra 10 minutes on an alarm call to talk to somebody doing yard work, or going to that community meeting, even though you don't necessarily have to be there.
Yes, sir.
Things like that.
Yes, sir.
Things like that.
Okay. So my last question, if I can ask, you know, if you could do this all over again, tomorrow you wake up, Dr. Oxendine is back at orientation. you keep everything, all your experiences, but instead of 20 years, you're back at day one. So my question to you is, what would you do different?
Is this an adult show?
Yes, sir.
Not a damn thing.
Nothing.
Not a damn thing.
Woo! That's powerful. I gotta ask why.
Because everything I've learned, everything I've experienced,
Yes, sir.
every battle that I've fought, it's made me who I am today.
I love it. It wouldn't change anything.
Nope.
I love it. So, if I could piggyback off what you mentioned, you said you wouldn't change anything, right?
Right.
And especially with this younger generation, and I'll speak for myself, man, because I can be hard-headed too. And so, you know, that means a lot of things to a lot of people. And so what I mean by that, a younger officer may say, well, this is who I am. You know, I'm not changing. I'm not going to. He can't be taught. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's just hard-headed. So for someone like that, for myself, what would you advise me, you know, so I can grow in my career?
You just have to be open to criticism.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of people who've done this a lot longer,
Uh-huh.
who know the ways. You just got to be open to learning. I mean, you know, even after 20 years,
Yes, sir.
I'm still learning. So
How much more for me, right?
you just learning I'm out of shape from you. But no, you just gotta keep your mind open to new things.
Okay. Hey.
Don't take anything personal.
Yes, sir. Hey, I appreciate that. Guys, got Dr. Oxendine out here for the 3-mile run, and it's raining. As you know what they say.
If it ain't raining, we ain't training.
There we go, baby. There you go. Now we got one lap around the track, and we good. So let's go. We gonna push it out.